Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 68th London Film Festival in partnership with American Express. Today, I am talking to Aliyah Harfoot on the Generation Now programme as part of London Film Festival. The Generation Now programme aims to explore films that are about the pressures that young people are facing in the modern world. This includes identity, sexuality, technology, and many more. I am Beatrice Ben. I'm a BFI Film Academy Young Programmer, and I'll be conducting the interview today. All of the films that are part of the Generation Now programme can be accessed on BFI Player for UK citizens over the course of the festival, which is the 9th of October to the 20th. So as I said, today we're talking to Aliyah Harfoot about her film Liminal Roots, which is a beautifully animated short film that premiered at Edinburgh International Film Festival this year and was also nominated for a Hugo BAFTA Student Film Award. So on that note, let's welcome Aliyah to the chat. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, would you be able to just give us a little bit of information about Liminal Roots, the film, and your career?
Yeah. So Liminal Roots it's my first film that I've put out into the world. And I made it at the National Film and Television School. So my kind of journey has been just kind of through school. I discovered animation in my art foundation, and then I went on to study illustration and animation at Kingston University, which was during COVID, so it wasn't especially the best end. And I think I needed an extra, little bit of help. So I decided to go to the National Film and Television School to study directing animation, and that's where I made the film.
Yeah, it's an amazing film, beautifully animated, and it's incredible that you've been able to have it screened at London Film Festival. So how excited are you about this opportunity, and are you going to be attending any events at London Film Festival?
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. It's so exciting, and I'm so excited for people to see it and to have such a massive platform. Yeah, I think I'm just excited to meet people and go to the networking events, and I will be at the screening, which is coming up. I'm very excited for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane because this is your first ever short film, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's already going to major film festivals, which is insane. So to talk about the film itself, what it's clearly a very personal and important story to you as a filmmaker. And the main concept is exploring hair and the characters' relationship to their hair. So where did the initial idea for this come from, and how did the idea develop over the course of making the film?
Yeah, I think the idea came originally, just out of nowhere. I think I just had this really strong visuals of hair. I was like, that's such a visceral thing, so textural, and I think it's got such a good quality to it, and I was like, you could do so much with that. And then I was thinking about what does it mean to me? What is hair to me? And then when it came to the way the school works is that you would team up with a producer, and my producer also happened to be mixed race. And so I was talking to her about this idea of hair, and she had a completely different idea of what hair means to her. We have very different textured hair, but we have still had kind of similar experiences. And I think that sparked more conversations with the people around me, my friends and my family. And then I was looking at a lot of forums, and it was just this common theme of feeling kind of different and also having these really specific experiences with our hair.
So, like, would you say that the film was quite important as a way of connecting to like-minded young people, which is kind of like the intention of this program, Generation Now? You're able to connect to other young people through the film.
Yeah, I think it was something that I didn't realize when we were making it, like that it's such an important thing to talk about, and it's been really exciting since, like having people come up and share their stories. And yeah, I think it's going to be massively helpful for a lot of people. And I'm like, it makes me feel like weird because I'm like, that wasn't really my intention. It was just like to share my own experience, but it's been like really rewarding, and I think a lot of people can relate to it, even if they're not, mixed race or don't have curly hair. I think we all kind of feel this sense of like otherness at times, and like we're never really alone.
Yeah, it's definitely like obviously very personal story, but has kind of universal aspects to it.
Yeah.
So makes it very accessible to like anyone, no matter who you are, which is like amazing quality to it. So with like visualizing the image of the hair, how did you go about doing this? And like you clearly use a lot of different media in the film. So what was like the thought process behind this?
um I think my go-to has always been kind of stop motion, because I think it's such like a tactile thing. Like I love working with my hands, and I love trying new things, and I think that was always kind of going to be the base of this film, especially with hair. I was like, I wanted to use real hair. Like some of the hair in the film is my own hair.
Wow. Yeah, I did not
um,
realize.
yeah, so it was a lot of just kind of discovering what would work for the film and what would work for the story. um, yeah, and I wanted it to be stop motion. I wanted to use puppets, so we worked with the model makers at the school who made all of the puppets and the props. And that was kind of like the basis of the real world and real experiences that the character had. And then it was a lot of discovering how to make that character more expressive, because I think I didn't want her to have a mouth, and but I still wanted her to be expressive. And I was like, how can I do like face like acting, because I think I wanted such like delicate detail and it to be very subtle. Um, and yeah, I just found this like powder that worked really well at like creating really soft and gentle emotion. Um, and so it was kind of marrying those two styles to like make it feel cohesive. Um, yeah, and I think it works really well with the hand drawn as kind of her internal world, and then the stop motion as all of the experiences that she has.
Yeah, it makes it so much more like visceral when you're watching it with all this combination of texture and like media. It's very like powerful. And then in addition to like the animation and like the visuals of the story, the sound is also key to like having that emotional punch. So how did you go about crafting the score and like the sound design of the film?
Yeah, I think this was like quite a tricky one, because I'd never worked with a sound designer or a composer before. And I love sound. And I knew very early on there wasn't going to be any dialogue, so it was like sound and music is going to be really really important. um so yeah, it was a journey figuring out how do you communicate with someone who works solely in a like in an audio world, whereas I'm very visual. um so I think while trying to come up with like a narrative, we decided like the best way to communicate with each other is through words. So it was a lot of like thinking of like the journey and how she would feel throughout this journey. And so we made like this emotional timeline, with a lot of keywords, and then our composer wrote like a temp score to that, and then I used that to then inform like the images that I was making. And so we kind of worked like that. So I had like this kind of base of of a sound language, and then once we'd edited all of the visuals that I had put together, then our sound designer Omar came in and kind of like found ways to like kind of elevate and add like a sonic language that would like emphasize the emotion throughout. And yeah, he like I wanted both Omar and Rotem to like have like a freedom in it. Like I didn't want them to be stuck because like that was the way that I was working, is very freeing. So I wanted them, like they're both experts in what they do, so they could have their own kind of input into both of those elements.
Yeah, that's interesting because like how the sound sort of influences the visuals, but then the visuals impacts the sound. It all kind of weaves
Yeah.
in an interesting way there. From progressing from traditional art forms like illustration and like painting, I guess, to filmmaking, what was it about filmmaking that drew you to using this form instead?
Um, I think I've always loved performance. Like when I was a kid, I loved drama, and so I was always kind of between these two worlds of like illustration and drama. And I feel like animation is like this beautiful, happy middle ground where it's like it's so much of myself, where I'm like recording myself and animating that is like I'm very involved in a performance way. Um, but yeah, I just think it's so playful, and I think it's so unpredictable, and nothing has to be perfect. Like I think there's so many elements about it that just make it like perfect for me, because it's just new every time, and it so feels so fulfilling seeing something that you worked for like a week on, and then it suddenly has it's this whole character, and it has its own life. It's like I made that. That's crazy.
So, how do you see like your animation progressing in the future? Because this is your first film like made with animation. So, yeah, how do you see that kind of changing in the future, or like the things you want to use in Liminal Roots and progress into the future as well?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep trying new things. Like I love experimenting. I love figuring out new ways to do things. Um, I think yeah, I think I'm open to anything new.
Mhm.
Just keep trying. Yeah, just keep trying and failing, and maybe something great comes out of that.
So, have you got any like projects you're working on at the minute that you could tell us a little bit about?
I'm currently working on a short film that's been commissioned by Film London. It's pretty early in development, so I'm not really sure where we're going, but it it will hopefully be a bit witchy.
I'm intrigued. Is it
Yeah,
like,
and it's
oh, sorry, is
that's
it
okay.
similar to Liminal Roots at all, or completely different?
I think I think it'll always kind of have a similar feel. Like I think it will be a bit weird.
I'm
But yeah,
very
no, it'll
intrigued.
be different themes, which I'm excited to explore, and that'll be premiering early next year.
Mm, put that in the calendar then.
Yeah.
Um, so, what other themes are you keen on exploring in your work then?
um, yeah, I think well, because I'm Welsh, I'm really interested in folklore, and I think that's something that I want to explore kind of next in my next few projects, is like a lot of women and a lot of Welsh folklore, because I think I was really interested in it when I was younger. And yeah, I think it's so important to like read about all these, old stories. Like there's so much good content there.
Yeah, there's a lot of like uncovered stories like that people are just needing to like use in their work. So that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and then going back to like your animation, for people watching who are like interested in animating themselves, do you have any like good pieces of advice that you wish you'd know when you started out?
Um, yeah, I think you just need to keep practicing. I think that's my main advice, is to just try everything, draw a lot, be open to working with other people. I think animators tend to want to be in their own bubble and do their own thing, but I think it's so important to share your work and talk with other people and share ideas. I think that's kind of the fastest way to improvement, is just to be open and not keep all of your ideas so close to your chest.
Yeah. And so like what would your advice be for like moving your like personal animation projects into like the industry and getting your foot in the door?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's quite a hard one. I think it's so, yeah, there are so many different routes. I mean, for me, it was school, but I mean, that's not necessarily an accessible option for most people. Um, but I think just meeting people, I think it's a lot about who you know and reaching out to people on Instagram. I think the animation community is generally very nice and people will be receptive. I think having your own sort of community that you can like promote each other, and yeah, I think just, yeah, keeping in contact with people and trying to get out and get to events and things. I think that's really important.
Yeah, you do often hear it's like, who you know that's the
Yeah,
key. Yeah.
definitely.
And this is a kind of similar question to the other one, but are there any like no-goes when it comes to animation that you didn't realize initially, or you kind of spot in other people's work that you would like suggest that you should avoid or something like that?
Um, I don't think so. I think it's so open. I think you can kind of do anything. Like there are no rules to animation. Um, but yeah, just don't be so precious and expect to fail and expect to be rejected, because it's a lot of that.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, don't ever let that like stop you from keeping going. Because like,
Yeah.
yeah, it happens to everyone.
Yeah, you often like go into things with an idealistic view, like it'll be immediate success. But when you talk to people, you realize it's never like that. It's like years of
Yeah,
work.
definitely. You
And
just gotta keep at it.
so, would you ever want to like step out of doing animation and do like, filming with real people and actors, or do you think it's animation's like the way you prefer to communicate stories and narratives?
I think at the moment, I think it kind of it's the best medium for me right now. I think it like gives me so much energy. But I think in the future, I'm so open to trying different things. And I think if it's a technique that fits the story, and if it helps the story, like any, yeah, I think any medium you want to use, I think is appropriate. Um, yeah, I'm definitely open to live action and just trying things. Yeah.
So, are there any like specific pieces of work or films, directors that have influenced your own work or Liminal Roots specifically?
Yes, we had two key references when we were making Liminal Roots. The film Yellow Fever by Niendo Muki um, is a like mixed media film, and she used a lot of like performance and found footage, and I think it was such a personal story, and it felt really powerful, and all of the the mixed media elements that she had in that film really like elevated it and added to it, and it was just like really like such a heavy topic. And then also Daughter by Jessica Ashman. She's like a yeah, she's also an animator, but she works with live performance. Like she has a band, and just like seeing how you can kind of present your work in such a different way, I think was really like has been really inspiring for me.
Yeah.
Because animation can kind of live anywhere, and I think both of those directors have like really interesting elements that I hadn't really seen before.
Yeah, I've never heard of those films, so I'll definitely be watching
Yeah,
these now.
definitely.
Yeah. Um, so like you've worked a lot with stop motion and like mixed media, specifically like animation styles. Would you like be interested in doing 3D animation and 2D animation at all?
Um, I just don't think that I'm technologically gifted enough.
Yeah.
I think if I worked on it a lot, I think, but I just think I enjoy traditional
Mm.
media at the moment. I'm not against it, and I think if someone else was doing it and if I was directing it, I think that would be fine. But I think because I'm animating so much myself, like
Mm.
that's where my skills are, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting because I'm not an animator, so hearing like your perspective of it, it's very fascinating. So that brings us to the end of today's chat. Thank you very much, Aliyah, for like participating in this interview. And for those watching, you should definitely check out Liminal Roots. As I said, it's free on BFI Player for the duration of London Film Festival if you're based in the UK. Our next scene interview is going live at 6 p.m. this evening, in which Felix is talking to Tara about her film Sylvia. I would also like to inform everyone about Film Academy Day, which is taking place on Sunday, the 20th of October. It has like a range of events for young people and young screen creatives where they can learn more about filmmaking and have the opportunity to network with other people. There are more details on the BFI website around this. And there are also going to be young programmer events at the London Film Festival for free programme that are also worth checking out. And more information is on Google as well. And then finally, thanks everyone for watching, and thank you, Aliyah, for today's chat.